Celtics win 116-95. This is the Garter Report on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. Celtics win 116-95. This is the Garter Report on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. My name is Jared Weiss. With me, as usual, Evans Clinchy and Jimmy Toscano from Celticsblog, SB Nation affiliate covering the Celtics since, I don't know, how long has Celticsblog been around?
2000 and whatever you want it to be.
It's
BC.
been a while. They are just about the most established
Honestly,
Celtics blog in the land.
Before the KG era, which is more than I can say for a lot of these guys that I see out there watching the game.
Fair weather fans they are.
Fair weather fans.
Not
all of you.
People.
The weather's
Not the ones watching the show.
The weather's about to become disastrous in Boston, but the Celtics are able to at least take in a 6-game winning streak before they all get snowed into their beautiful houses in Lincoln and Waltham and I guess downtown, some of them still. But for this show, if you just can't open your eyes on a snowy Friday, you can listen to it. Keep your eyes closed. Picture me with a shirt off or something else really
Please
beautiful.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you probably should.
Yeah, no.
So you go to iTunes, you search CLNS Radio, or you can listen to it when it's broadcasted tomorrow morning or Friday morning on CLNS Radio.
Just being that visual. Just have that visual. Sorry.
It's a great
Delayed
sight.
reaction
Tonight's game was a great sight. The Celtics only win by 21 points, kind of a disappointment, I guess. But they were up by 30 at one point. It felt like an 80-point blowout, I'd say, Jimmy. The Celtics offense fires on all cylinders. The Lakers offense kind of sputters on all cylinders, pretty much, except for Kobe, who they said that the Lakers players said that nobody played well tonight, but Kobe had a pretty good game. But let's talk about the Celtics because they had probably their best performance of this winning streak. There's been a lot of questions of whether this winning streak would be kind of the legitimate turnaround for the team, considering the schedule was, I'd say, a little bit weak for them after that Miami game. So they face a Laker team that obviously right now is really struggling, but how much do they legitimize themselves with this win?
Well, that's the thing. You just said it. They're struggling. Obviously, the news of Gasol being out for 6 weeks with the foot injury, the plantar fascia. Every win it seems the Celtics have, there's a but so-and-so was out or but this happened or you can kind of poke holes in every single one of their wins, and I'm not trying to do that. But first of all, they're home for all of them except Toronto. You've got the win over the win over Miami was the only real one that you can say that was a really great win. They're all good wins.
The Clippers are a pretty good win, too.
But without Chris Paul. It's the same thing. It's everything you can say, somebody's missing, somebody's this, somebody's that. But that being said, you got to give the Celtics credit. They're winning the games that they have to win. They should be winning these games. To beat the Lakers by the score they did, 21 points, that says a lot about, how far they've come in the last week or two.
And their style of play has been really impressive to me. It's like Avery Bradley said after the game tonight. It's about they're playing like a summer league team. They're just enjoying playing together and just sharing the ball. Everybody's passing it, just pass, so you find the open guy, and the open guy's shooting when he can and scoring. It's a nice balanced offensive effort. Paul Pierce, 24 points, obviously the dominant offensive guy.
Yeah.
But the other guys getting involved, Jason Terry, Jeff Green, Kevin Garnett, Avery Bradley. Everybody's sharing the ball and sharing the scoring load.
Confidence.
It's just a really good collaborative effort. They're all confident. They're all playing together. Whether they're beating quality teams for quality wins or not, we can debate that. But the way they're playing has been really, really pleasant to watch.
They're huge, and real quick, they're huge on confidence. I really want to see, I don't want to see them lose, but I want to see how they respond to a loss. Because we've seen them go on a 6-game winning streak, and then we've seen them go on a 6-game losing streak, or whatever, 5 or 6, whatever it was. Yeah. And I want to see how they respond after a loss, whenever that is, maybe Sunday against the Nuggets. I think that's a game where you can say, well, if they put in a good performance against the Nuggets, okay, well, because I consider the Nuggets a top 5 or 6 team in the league right now. I think they're that good of a team, and I think if the Celtics can beat them at home, which, listen, you're at home, protect your home, you're playing well, they should beat them. I think, the odds makers probably have it close to a pick 'em. I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would bet that. So we'll see how that game goes, and then depending on how that outcome is, then I'll have a better idea of who this team is.
Okay, let's transition into transition talk, wordplay. Tonight was the great fast break performance for this team for a while. They beat them on the break 22-2. So last numbers I saw. That's a pretty massive deficit. The Lakers not really known as a running team, but the Celtics, who are supposed to be a fast break offense when they the first couple of months of the season, they're finally turning that into that now. And I thought the big thing tonight was that they were getting fast break points off of made baskets. That's pretty. It's a pretty uncommon feat. But it was just kind of the dedication to trying to get out on the break that we saw guys like Green, Avery, Courtney, and Jason, especially those last two there, were really focused on getting out on the break tonight.
I agree, and it all comes down to them buying into what Doc's been preaching since Rondo went out. Was we cannot afford to walk the ball up the court. We have to make stops on defense. And when we score, we have to, and when the other team scores, you got to, push the ball up. Like you just said, they're pushing the ball up even when they're giving up points, they're pushing the ball. So, and it's that type of quick pace that they're going to need. And 22 fast break points, the way Doc scores fast break points is even more than that, because he says the way that the NBA scores it is, a point made within 6 seconds of a defensive rebound. So if you consider maybe 7 seconds or a ball that's kicked off for transition 3, that's not even counted as a fast break point. So there's even more than that. Yeah. Which is good.
They had a lot of transition opportunities back in the Rondo portion of the season where, it was kind of, it was Rondo all by himself going 1-on-3, and it was kind of stilted, and you couldn't find a good look at the basket. These days, it's 2 or 3 guys fast breaking together. It's Avery Bradley and Courtney Lee running the floor, running a 2-man weave together. I mean, it just seems to be so much more in concert, much more teamwork, multiple picks, like you said. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on. It's not just one guy, charging in traffic and hoping to get fouled or maybe get to the hole. It's just a really good team effort in transition these days.
And the guy in the middle of it all, Kevin Garnett. He's been doing it for a while.
And Doc's talked about how guys aren't allowed into the middle of the paint. How don't you dare get in Kevin's space when they're trying to get into transition. Or I think transition and early offense are kind of two concepts that are blending for this team. Some of the time they're kind of really going out on a fast break, and then some of the time they're just trying to get down there really quickly ahead of the defense so they can set up a quick pick and roll on the wings and flare screens. So they're basically able to get into their offensive set at like the 20-second mark at the shot clock. But Doc has mentioned that Kevin Garnett's space is in the middle, and don't get in the middle there. Yeah. And let's take a look at what Doc said tonight.
Spaced the floor. We kept Brandon. If he was guarding Brandon stayed outside. Kevin was outside. So we really did a good job of keeping him out of the paint, which is important. And that's what we've basically been doing with the ability of Kevin to shoot and Brandon to shoot. You can pull bigs outside the paint, which allows all our guards to get to the basket. And that's what we've been doing.
Okay, well, Kevin Garnett scored his 25,000th point tonight. He also passed Ron Artest for 17th on the steals list and became the first player. I don't have it right on me right now. We'll put it on the banner for you in post-production. But first, I think, for 25,000 points, 10,000 rebounds or something like that.
And
then a bunch of, 5,000 assists.
1,500 steals, 1,500 blocks.
Yeah.
He's the only player ever to have
Clinchy knows what we're talking about right now.
I'm all
Hat
over
tip
it.
to Sean Grandy on that.
There we go. So, just about one of the all-time great all-around players there, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
But he's been the focus of trade talks lately, and he came out and made it pretty clear what his stance is on this trade talks.
Last note, I just want to say that I love my situation here. I don't know what y'all sources or whoever's making up these bullshit articles about me getting traded to Denver and all these other places, but I bleed green, and I continue to do that. And if it's up to me, then I'm going to retire a Celtic. So I just want everybody to know that.
All right, Evans, is he going to retire a Celtic?
Absolutely he is. Look, every athlete gives you this soundbite and says he wants to retire with the team he's with, but when Kevin Garnett says it, that's when you really, really believe it, because Kevin Garnett was on the verge of retirement this summer, and the one reason he said, no, I'm not going to retire, is because he wants to come back and play 3 more years for Doc Rivers. He's not going to leave Doc in the middle of a playoff chase to go play for the Clippers or the Nuggets or whoever else. He wants to be a Celtic. He's here because he chose here over retirement. He did not choose Denver or LA or anywhere else over retirement. He wants to be a Celtic. It's not BS. It's the truth when KG says it. He's a Celtic, period.
And he's got one other thing that a lot of players don't have, and that's a no-trade clause. So he literally can stay here as long as he wants to in those 3 years. I honestly think that if he did get traded, he might just retire at the end of that season.
Yeah.
And I think teams might think that in their own minds. There's no guarantee of this guy. I mean, money is nothing to him at this point. He's the highest paid NBA athlete in the history of the game. So, I mean, making an extra $8 million isn't going to do much for him.
And can the Celtics get fair trade value for him right now? Just because it seems like his value is higher to the Celtics than it is to other teams.
I think that he would play better on the Celtics than on other teams, just because of the chemistry he has with guys like Paul and before Rondo, and with the new guys on the team like Lee and with Terry. I mean, he does mean more to the Celtics than I think we think. We as reporters, not only reporters, but the fans, we think of him as more than what we would get back. I mean, really, Caron Butler and Eric Bledsoe. I mean, no disrespect to those two guys, but Are those really two guys that you're going to build your future around? Obviously not Butler, but is Bledsoe really a guy worth giving up KG for and like punting this, the fun that they're,
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what you mean by value. Do you mean value now or value in 3 years? I mean, Kevin Garnett's a pretty good player now, but in a couple of years he's going to be 39 and broken down and on the verge of retirement. So if you flip him now, you get some value for him now.
Right.
I mean, Eric Bledsoe, even if he's not going to start on a team that's got Avery Bradley and next year Rondo back, you can flip him somewhere else. You can get great value for Eric Bledsoe. A lot of teams love Eric Bledsoe. He's a great young bench player. He can be a star in a couple of years. You flip him for a great big man who can be a franchise guy. Eric Bledsoe's a really good trade piece, but you have a guy in Kevin Garnett right now that could possibly help you make one more deep playoff run. I mean, you saw that last year. He's still capable of it. I mean, do you give that up? I don't know.
We've yet to see this team not play, I should say, we've yet to see this team play bad in the last, since they've lost before. And so until we see them play bad, I don't see how you can say, well, to blow it up. And I think Ainge is thinking the same thing, and he said it today on WEI. He's like, I still want to see how this team plays, and I think he's looking at games like Denver and down the road, on the road, and he wants to see how they're going to do. And there's still time. I mean, there's still time to trade guys before the deadline. So we'll see.
And we've seen the trade talk, at least coming from the pushing for a move to happen, has just exponentially fallen off over the past 6 days.
A little bit,
because everyone jumped into it immediately, thinking, "Oh, well, the season's lost," right? Especially after the Solinger surgery.
Right, and you have no choice but to kind of shut up, until they lose. And I think people are probably waiting for a couple of losses in a row before they start that up again.
And just to make it extra difficult, that when the Celtics do lose, it's going to be by 1 point on a game-winning shot. Just so you'll be like, oh, but they were so good in that game. It's barely even a loss, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're going to actually go around the league really quickly, talk about Dwight Howard.
The anti-Kevin Garnett.
Before we talk about Dwight Howard.
In so many ways.
Let's see Dwight Howard talk about how he isn't maybe the anti-Kevin Garnett.
Howard talks about Dwight Howard, really?
People can say what they want to say, but none of these people are playing. None of these people have had injuries, so they can say what they want about playing through pain and playing through injuries. I spent the whole summer last year trying to recover because I wanted to play through pain and show people that I'm tough. I don't have to do that. I spent 8 years in Orlando. Never really had an injury, and the injuries that I did have, was the ones where I could play through, and stuff like this with a shoulder and a back, it's not something that you can just say I'll play through it and hopefully it gets better.
So Dwight, he was in much better spirits before the game when we talked to him. He gave me and a couple other reporters a nickname, the Boston Beats.
You're so proud of that. You're so proud of that.
Deuces. Yeah, because
we got the beats. Like that?
Exactly. Just like that. In probably the coolest, most modern way possible.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm proud of that because I have railed Dwight so many times and I was able to put on a brave face.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but
I have railed Dwight in a criticizing him in sports writing and sports commentary way.
I did what?
And
my word choice is still fantastic.
Go on.
No, but I was able to put on a brave face and talk to the enemy. And of course, he's not really the enemy. He's just a guy that I don't like how he plays the game of basketball. But obviously, he's a pretty cool guy and fun guy. But that was a pretty funny moment. So if you do run into Dwight Howard on the street, you should probably have fun with him because he's actually a pretty fun dude. But
anyway.
On the court, he.
Just not gonna happen.
It happens all the time. People run into Dwight Howard in the street all the time. Okay, let's
talk.
It's a post-game show. Let's break down the game itself. Dwight Howard tonight, he really struggled. Not surprising because he was kind of hurt. Back issue. He said, as you saw, back still hurting him. Shoulder still a problem for him. The guy, he missed 2 games, but there's a lot of disconnected seams going with this team. Is this team salvageable, the Lakers? And is Dwight salvageable this year?
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I'll tell you. If you look at how far out the Lakers are in the West standings right now, I don't think they have a shot at the playoffs. There's 8 really good teams ahead of them. They just lost Pau Gasol for maybe 2 months or so. They're in complete disarray to me, it looks. I don't see it. But
I have to agree. I had this game circled on my calendar only because I've heard so many negative things about the Lakers that I had to see for myself. I had to go into I had to talk to Mike D'Antoni. I had to go into the Lakers argument room. I did not go in the Celtics. I didn't do anything with the Celtics after the game. I just had to see it. And sure enough, Mike D'Antoni is essentially, continuing to call out Dwight Howard. He said tonight he's been cleared to play for a while now. He said that, Dwight Howard will play when he decides to play. He doesn't seem to think that Howard's injury is much of an injury at all. I think in a sense he's questioning his toughness like Kobe Bryant did. And Dwight Howard's sitting at his locker and he hears about his coaches calling him out. The guy next to him, Kobe Bryant, was calling him out to the media. And I just think this team is total disarray, like you said. There's a huge disconnect between Howard and the rest of the team and with his coaching staff. And I do not see Howard coming back to the Lakers next year if D'Antoni is there. And I don't see D'Antoni coming back either, I guess I should say. But I'm surprised at how quickly things have fallen apart for the Lakers. I thought that they could, with the talent they have on their roster with Nash, with Kobe, and with Howard, I thought that they could at least just get something going. And I just don't think it's possible.
And big picture, what really concerns me is not the Lakers; it's the direction of Dwight Howard's career. I mean, you look at the talent that guy has. He could be one of the great all-time big men in the history of the NBA. And what is he doing to his long-term career prospects? I mean, he's in a great situation basketball-wise. He's surrounded by 3 other superstars. He could win multiple rings right now if he really had his whole body and heart and soul and mind in it. And instead, this is where we're at. I mean, he's going to part ways with the team this summer. I agree with you. He's going to end up in Atlanta or Milwaukee
Dallas,
or someplace with cap space.
Dallas is a front runner.
Dallas, sure. But, is he ever going to compete for championships again? I don't know.
I'm not sure. And it's to the point where even if, I don't think it's 100% Howard's fault of the situation he's in. I think a lot of the blame has to go with D'Antoni, has to go with the Lakers organization.
The health of Gasol and Nash.
Well, that too. But injuries aside, I just think that the communication between both sides, and it's hard to give Howard the benefit of the doubt because of his history with the Magic and the way things ended there. And maybe he's getting what he deserves in LA. But I think in some instances, they're sort of throwing him out to the Wolves, and the Wolves being the media and the fans and everyone. Because listen, when you're down 30 points, you don't leave one of your star players in the game who has publicly said that he doesn't feel good. His back is hurting him, according to him, whether you believe it or not. He says his back hurts, he says his shoulder hurts. So why on earth are you playing him in the fourth quarter down 30 points? To me, that's disrespectful to him, and I think that he feels the same way. Because Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, neither of those guys touched the court in the fourth quarter. He subbed out Ron Artest with about 9 minutes left, kept Howard in. Jameson didn't touch the floor. I mean, and there's Howard playing with, Jody Meeks and Steve Blakes. It's just, there's a disconnect there. It's just plain as day.
All right, we'll move on to Baller, but before we do, I think the important point to really put out there is that Kobe is talking to him and Pau through the media, and it seems to work with Pau. I think Kobe and Pau have that working relationship, but it doesn't seem that because you can see it happen on the court basically with Kobe and Pau. You see them work on stuff together. I didn't see any connection between Kobe and Dwight tonight.
No, I don't think they even made eye contact.
For some reason, they don't run the pick and roll together. I don't know why Kobe and Dwight aren't running the pick and roll together, but they're not. But we haven't really seen much on-court chemistry, communication, playing off each other, setting down screens for each other, all that kind of stuff. It seems like they haven't been able to merge those two entities into one offensive game plan. And it seems like it's 2 separate offensive game plans clashing with each other.
I agree, and just real quick, because I know we're going on with this, but it just didn't seem like Howard was part of the team. And I'm only basing it on what I saw tonight. I'm not trying to speak for the season, but I overheard Kobe Bryant telling the media, somebody asked him, how do you guys plan on, moving on without Gasol? And he said, well, me and Steve were talking about that, what things we have to do differently. Never mentioned Howard.
Yep.
He didn't talk, he didn't have anything to say to Howard about how they're going to go on without a guy like Gasol who plays the same position as Howard or, 2 big guys like that. I mean, it seems like he's not even part of the discussion.
An important thing to note is that the away locker room is set up horseshoe style, basically, with all the lockers. There's one locker on the other side of the entrance to the bathroom. Guess who was sitting there tonight?
Dwight Howard.
Howard. It's usually for the star player, though, in their defense.
It's true.
Seems like Kobe would get the big locker.
He used to get that locker.
I was like, wait, isn't Kobe the star player on the Lakers?
Right, well,
a
star player.
There we go. All right, let's wrap this up quickly with Baller of the Night. This is where we pick the biggest baller of the game. Really emphasize biggest and really emphasize baller because I want to be a shot caller.
I emphasize the. The is my favorite word in that phrase.
There we go. All right, well, why don't you tell us the... Nice joke, by the way.
I don't know.
Why don't you tell us the baller of the night for you?
The baller of the game for me is the one and only Kevin Garnett. 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals. But really, what matters most about Kevin Garnett is the career achievement. I mean, 25,000 career points, as we said earlier, 25,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 5,000 assists, 1,500 steals, 1,500 blocks. He's the only player ever to do all that. I mean, it's just an incredible career, and he had a great game tonight. So, just hats off to KG.
I think he's going to be everyone's baller of the night just because of everything you just said. I mean, he's just a guy that has done everything asked of him in his career. My baller of the night is somebody who's not quite at Kevin Garnett's level. Jeff Green. I thought he had a good game. I mean, the third quarter, specifically with the dunk, followed up by the block in transition. He got back, and then that led to the Paul Pierce three-pointer that the place just, I thought the top was going to blow off. And that, right into the fourth quarter. I mean, at that point, the game was out of reach. I mean, it went from 21 to 26 or something like that. But I just thought that was a good play. And Jeff Green was very consistent on that. I mean, 5 points, 6 points, 2 points, but that was in the third quarter where the block was huge, and then 6 points in the fourth. So, good game for Green.
Usually I have to pick somebody a little bit different just so we can kind of give you more analysis. But thankfully you guys made the incorrect decision because Paul Pierce. But seriously, for me, it was Paul Pierce. The way that he single-handedly opened the game up in the third quarter. Not that it wasn't pretty much opened, but I think everybody went into halftime with, what was it, like a 14-point lead or so. I think just about everybody in America, because it's a national game. I'm sure everyone in America was thinking, "Ooh, I wonder how quickly the Lakers are going to take the lead in this game," because the Celtics have made a habit of giving up good halftime leads when they get them in the rare occasions that they do.
Right.
So seeing Paul just shooting lights out in the third quarter, carrying the team. He has a diverse stats. He had like 7 rebounds, 6 assists. I think he has that almost exact stat line every single game.
He's been averaging those numbers. Less points actually. Tonight was more. I think he's averaging like 17, 18 points since Rondo's been out. But those assists and those rebounds have been up there, which is above his career averages.
Yeah. So Paul's gonna win a lot of baller of the nights for the next few weeks at least. He has already. But he's
motivation.
You see why guys like Paul and Kevin, even though they've gotten older and they're definitely past their prime, past their peak, and people are looking at them as basically kind of trending down this year, but you see why they're still so valuable is that they're playing at just about as good as they were last year in the last couple of years in the stretch because they know that they have to step up to save the season.
I agree, and I think that they are also leading the team, and there's that stability in the locker room now where these are our leaders. Maybe Rondo wasn't as ready as the NBA, as the Celtics team wanted him to be, and pumped him up to be in his own mind maybe. And Garnett and Pierce is just natural, I think, and the guys are responding to that.
All right, well, respond to us on Twitter. You can find me at CLNS_Jared Weiss. Why don't you tell us your Twitter handles real quick before we sign off?
At Jimmy_Toscano.
At Evans Clinchy.
Into the mic, very nice.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this one up. You can find it on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. Listen to it on iTunes, and you can hear it broadcasted on CLNS Radio. What do you have to say, Jimmy?
I just want to say congrats to Matt Bonner, New Hampshire's own. They're representing the Granite State in the three-point shooting contest, so I'll be cheering them on.
All right, well, I'm representing the Garden Report, signing off for Evans Clinchy, Jimmy Toscano. My name is Jared Weiss. Celtics beat the Lakers for the first time since 2007, actually, in the regular season at home.
Wow.
We're out of here.